Big ruling from the Supreme Court on gun rights. I'm Ed Kelley, editor of the Oklahoman. With me from our bureau in Washington is Mark Green, national editorial writer for the Oklahoman and a frequent contributor here on News OK TV. Okay, Mark, the Supreme Court's ruling today came from a case from the District of Columbia itself, and it seemed to me to affirm that Americans have a right to own guns to defend themselves, as well as for sports like hunting. In historic terms, how important, how sweeping is this ruling?
Well, I think it's both, Ed. The Supreme Court has not ruled on a Second Amendment case in almost 70 years and hasn't had a really definitive statement on the Second Amendment's meaning in more than 120 years, so it's very historic. It's also more sweeping, perhaps, than might have been expected. Often the Supreme Court will, in individual cases, will issue a very narrow decision specifically tailored for that case. But in this case, the majority made it very clear that they believe the Constitution affirms an individual right to possess firearms.
Okay, but let's look at the court. The court ruled also that there are certain limits to the Second Amendment, as it can be applied here early in the 21st century. It
did. Justice Scalia wrote the opinion for the majority, and he went to, I think, great pains to assure people that the Constitution does not permit an absolute right to have firearms. He said that long-standing prohibitions against carrying guns in public buildings or in schools or places like that, or prohibiting gun ownership for convicted felons or people with mental disorders is not threatened by this ruling today. So yes, the court was saying that there is an individual right, but it is not an absolute, unfettered right.
Okay, so bottom line then, what's the practical application for the average Oklahoman who is a law-abiding, registered gun owner?
Well, I think the law-abiding registered gun owners in Oklahoma have nothing to fear from this ruling, and certainly it affirms their right to continue to do the things that they do, to hunt, to sport shoot, to target shoot, and certainly to possess firearms in their homes to protect themselves, their families, and their property.
Well done, Mark. Thanks. Stay here in News OK for continuous updates of this ongoing story.